Hey everyone, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be reviewing something quite special, as it could mean very, very big things for the future of the S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball franchise. So today we are looking at Son Goku GT, also known as Kid Goku in Dragon Ball GT. Now, this isn't the first time they've tackled Kid Goku, but it is the first time they've tackled the GT variety. And this is not a simple remold or retool or anything like that. It is a completely new figure, pretty much rebuilt from the ground up, and will most likely be the baseline for small characters going forward, in particular kid characters going forward. So I imagine this will be used for a potential Kid Trunks and Kid Goten. It could be used for a new Gotenks, could be used for Dragon Ball Daima, because they will most likely be making figures of that franchise pretty soon. And they realistically needed a properly scaled kid character, because the previous kid bodies that they had were from the Dragon Ball line of S.H.Figuarts, and they didn't really scale that well with the Dragon Ball Z or Super line, and they were fine generally, but if you wanted your entire set to scale with each other, it was a bit weird. And while I don't think that this is perfect in terms of scale, I think it's probably the best we'll get for a posable figure, and probably the standard as we move forward. So, as you can see, this is a pretty small box and a pretty small figure. It is the standard S.H.Figuarts format, so clear window into the front, promo images on the sides and back, and yeah, just everything you expect from the brand, just in a much more sleek and small format. But taking Goku out of the box, you can see what we're dealing with. So it might be small, but we get a lot packed in. So we have 4 alternate faces, an additional hairpiece for windswept hair, a bunch of different hands, a Kamehameha charge effect, as well as an alternate waist piece, which is used for a better dynamic range and action poses. So a pretty good loadout for a standard figure, and a fairly reasonable price. I believe he's something in the range of 5,000 to 6,000 yen in Japan, so pretty damn good. And pretty much everything you need him to come with. Could have potential other GT characters coming with Super Saiyan heads or something like that. I can see that happening, seeing as they want to do GT Trunks and Pan, but we'll see how that goes. I'd like them to continue and do Omega Shenron and Baby Vegeta, because I think there is a lot of potential there, and of course Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. But anyway, I've waffled on long enough. Here is Goku out of the box, and he's looking pretty good. His neck is a little bit long, but generally the sculpt work is pretty fantastic. There are a few minor cuts that need to be made to make this figure work at this scale, but in general it is a very, very, very good figure for something so small. So I don't have the Pan from Dragon Ball Super Hero, but I believe that this shares a little bit in common with her in terms of him being fairly proportional, but the head being a bit bigger than usual to make this all work, and the head not scaling just right with, say, other adult Dragon Ball Z characters, but it's good enough for what it is and gets the job done. The sculpt work is pretty damn good. It is very recognizable as Goku. That hair can be spotted basically anywhere and you know who it is. The body looks good, the gi looks nice. I like the breakup of colors that the GT design had. Instead of just the orange gi, we've got blues, we've got whites, we've got pink for the little wrist guards. We've got the black boots and the bright yellowish orange pants. And it makes for a pretty iconic look for Goku, even if it is just a color swap of similar outfits he's had in the past, or even just the shrunk down version of his End of Z attire, which is effectively what this is. But I think it works really, really well for the character. Now, before we go any further, we'll do a quick size comparison. So here's GT Goku up against Dragon Ball Kid Goku, and you can see the vast difference in mold, as this is a completely brand new figure, and you can see how much smaller he is. And put up against Super Saiyan 4 Goku, you can see how he scales with an adult S.H.Figuarts, as well as how the old Dragon Ball figures did scale with the adult characters as well. You can see that we really did need something like this. And here's Goku up against the other GT character that's been released, which is the Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. And they look pretty damn good together. I am glad that they did pursue more GT characters, even though GT in general isn't looked upon that fondly. Now, one thing that I think is pretty important to note before we go any further in this review is that GT Goku is missing a pretty massive part of his design, which is his tail. Now, I don't know if it was a thing of they couldn't figure out how it would engineer with the swappable waist, or they couldn't get it small enough to really work with the figure without it falling out at every single opportunity, but he doesn't have a tail. And I'm okay with that. I'm sure some people will be annoyed by it, but I think it's fine. What you could do as just a little bit of a cheat is to take the tail from any of the Dragon Ball Gokus and pop it just under his gi, because the rubberized or soft plastic gi has enough friction to hold something in there, so you can get a bit of an idea of what Kid Goku would look like with a tail. Yes, this wouldn't be in scale, but you know, it's there. It's technically an option if you have other figures. And I guess it's cool enough, it works well enough, but that's not really a massive concern for me. But let's move right into posability. So he's got a ball joint at the head and neck, allowing for a pretty good range of motion. He can look side to side, rock his head, and look down pretty far and up pretty far as well. His arms can move out that far without any additional effort. They can rotate all the way around. There is no swivel at the upper arm, but there is a swivel at the forearm, as well as a ball hinge at the wrist, and of course a bend at the elbow. There is also a butterfly joint, not super crazy, but enough to get a Kamehameha pose working. There is a ball joint at the waist, allowing for swivel and a bit of crunching. He can kick forward that far and back, not really at all. He's got a bend at the knee, as well as an ankle tilt and toe bend. There is a thigh swivel, as well as the splits, and the soft plastic gi just really doesn't hinder anything at all, which is great. And you have an alternate part as well to get even more dynamic range out of the figure, which is great. Kid Goku comes with 4 faces, so he's got a standard smiling face that he comes with out of the box. He's got a determined sort of serious face. He's got a shouting face and a teeth-gritted angry face, and the expressiveness on all these faces is quite good. I think they've really nailed the look for him, and I like the slight asymmetry in the teeth-gritted face. I don't know if that's necessarily a printing error or it's meant to be like that. Regardless, it looks pretty good. And one of the best things about this is you also get an alternate head sculpt, and this is for windswept hair. Unfortunately, the bangs aren't really swappable between faces. It seemed like you might be able to fake it a bit, but I didn't want to push anything. But anyway, you've got an alternate head sculpt, and that allows even more options with the faces you've got, and a lot more expressiveness for the figure. A lot like other windswept hair options, doesn't work with all the faces quite so well, but it is nice to have. And with those accessories, you can get quite a bit out of this figure, especially the alternate waist piece, and of course the Kamehameha effect. Now, we've never had a charged Kamehameha this small before. Probably the closest was the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan event exclusive that they did last year, and that was close enough to a regular Kamehameha that I don't think it really counts, but this is the smallest charged Kamehameha they've done. Instead of little slots that the energy effects pop into, they are ball joints, so you can pose it around a little bit, and it works pretty damn well. It's a solid enough connection. All of the ball joints and things on this figure are quite tiny, so it's pretty easy to swap parts out, but I am scared that I will break things. I had one of his arms pop off multiple times while recording. But generally, he is a really cool figure. I didn't feel like he was hindered in any way by his stature or articulation. I think you could get basically anything you want out of this figure, and it worked quite well. Really, really solid. Really enjoyed playing with it. I felt pretty damn confident in moving it around. There are some slight limitations with the neck, and it is a little bit long for my liking, but in action poses, you don't really notice it that much. And you've got a ton of different accessories, bunch of hands, cool options, and he's just a really, really solid all-round figure. I'm keen to see what they do next with this kid mold, because it looks like we can go pretty damn far with it. But that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will see you all next time.